Hey everyone. So, did you know there is a process in everything? Literally everything we do has a process. Whether it's getting up out of bed in the morning, first step, turn off the alarm, second step, throw the blankets off you, third step, put your feet on the floor, fourth step, stand up, fifth step, walk to wherever you're walking. It's a process. There's a process in everything. So, I've been reading The Power of Systems by Steve Chandler and Trevor Timbeck lately, and there was a quote that hit me real hard. And the reason it hit me hard is because it's somebody who I've studied for a lot of years. And when I read this, I'll tell you a little more about him. So the quote is 85% of the reasons for failure are deficiencies in the systems and process rather than the employee. The role of management is to change the process rather than badgering individuals to do better. Now, I know it speaks to employee, and this is Edwards Deming. So if those of you who don't know, Edwards Deming and Dr. Joseph Duran, they're like the forefathers of process development, process improvement, quality assurance. So in the world of manufacturing, they're well known. Though two of them are the primary reason why in the 80s and 90s, the Japanese car companies and electronics companies overtook the US because they listened to them, developed processes that worked, were efficient, etc. Cool. Now the question is, how can you apply that to your own life? And the point of it is, the 85% of the failures are process, not employee. Well, consider yourself the employee. Consider yourself the employee. Now, instead of you beating yourself up like they're talking about, like he's talking about in this quote, in this quote, he's like, the role of management. So you're both management and the employee here is to change the process rather than badgering the individuals to do better. So rather than your mind management kicking your own butt for not doing as good and telling you need to work harder, what if you did better on the process? What if you looked at the process you're using for whatever, whether it's at your job, at your business, with your relationships, with, building something around the house. If you looked at the process, there's probably room for improvement. And so rather, it goes back to that age old saying of work smarter, not harder. Well, and that's so true. It's so true because when you're working smarter, you're developing a process and a system that's going to make life easier for you and everyone around you. And especially when you're trying to create stuff in your world. So take a look at your life. Take a look at where your process could be a little deficient, where you could improve the process to make it easier. Instead of kicking your own butt and saying, hey, you need to work harder, I need to work harder, maybe the system can be further developed or maybe a little improved upon. I know that's true in a lot of cases in my own world. And so when I read that quote, it was a reminder. Again, a lot of you know that in my corporate life, I spent over 20 years in quality assurance, mostly as a quality assurance manager. And so I've studied Dr. Joseph Duran and Edwards Deming very much because they are, like I said, the forerunners of process development, process improvement. So to read that quote that I hadn't seen in a long time was really hit close to home. I can go into an organization and help them develop a process, but what about the processes for my own business and my own life? I have them, although I could probably improve on them a little bit. And I bet if you went and looked at yourself and looked at your own processes, you probably could too. And remember, everything is a process or a system. Everything. I just gave the example about getting out of bed. Everything is a process. For making coffee, I use a Keurig. So you open up, check and make sure there's water in the Keurig. Cool, there's water in the Keurig. Turn the power on, pop the top open, reach into the cupboard, grab a little pod, put the pod in there, shut the lid. Oh, I need to grab a cup, put the cup underneath, press the button for the size that you want. When it's done, you grab your cup, you start sipping, you open it up, you throw the thing away. Everything in there was a step of a process. So think about where in your processes and your systems can be improved. So anyway, that's what I got for you today. The Power of Systems is, one, an amazing book and an amazing statement because it is so true for each and everything we have in our lives. That's what I got for you today. Always remember, never forget to be schmaltzy, my friends. Take care. Awesome.